Hello viewers and subscriber, welcome once again to my new screencast. Today I would like to do some development for web APIs and microservices and RESTful APIs for secure messaging systems. The last screencast from 31.1 to 31.8, this was the same application for the web developments for secure messaging systems. So that the project requirement, there's two requirements. First, we need to release the web applications, and then the project requirement was these same functionalities has to be released as a web APIs. That means when we release the web APIs, the end client, the client can integrate any web development framework like web development web GUI, and then that's the possibility. So the last screencast you have to look for that one and see the how the web development was done, and also the what's the functionalities is there. So I already added into this those screencasts into YouTube, and also the source code into the my GitHub. So let's start the new challenges for how can we convert our web applications, the web application functionalities to the as a web services or web APIs or RESTful APIs, and with the same functionalities. That's one. So that's I said the requirement was the major features for these for these APIs. The user registration features has to be included, and demographic and physical address features has to be included with with these the implemented APIs. Logging and logout features, and then secure messaging message sending mechanism with encryption and encoding, and receiving message by receiver by decryption and decoding algorithms. So that means the release API should implement to fit those features or those functionalities. So here the diagram, you can see it will be the implementation of the RESTful APIs with Grails 3 and Groovy and Java based. So you see our backend server will be the any SQL server. For this case we use the for PostgreSQL. You can use also the MySQL, any SQL based database, Oracle or DB2. I mean that one. So this is the standard SQL structure. So for this implementation, I try to implement the REST APIs with the PostgreSQL database. So here's the backend server, and then here's the API, the secure messaging API, and then the end client try to call or to integrate or consume your released APIs to the web and build their respective GUI depending on the template engines what they would like to use. That's the challenge. The end user said, okay, we need some APIs. That's the APIs can integrate any type of templating or UI or GUI or UI frameworks. Then they have multiple possibilities. But the last development, web development, was based on the Grails, Grails 3. That means the end client has restrictions to do the further framework integration or further UI development possibility. That's why they are asking to release the same functionalities as APIs, and then they can choose what framework they would like to integrate for the GUI developments. So this is the flow diagram how it has to be. So this is the part we need to maintain the installation of the databases and implement our APIs. Then we release the APIs. Then the web developer has to be integrate those API for their web development. So here, I already talked about my previous screencast, a lot of things with the service-oriented architecture. You already know the service-oriented architecture means the component to application components communications, and application to application communication, and then machine to machine communication. Please look at my previous videos, and you can get in more detail about that one. So web service has web APIs, so it's as a two format. I have also the detail about the previous screencast, how their technologies difference and how the possibilities for those technologies. So REST and SOAP technologies, and REST technologies has the HTTP methods, HTTP protocols, and then those are expected put and basically the CRUD operation and so on and so forth. That's the very short descriptions. So here is our last screencast. As I said, that was the web developments for the secure messaging systems, and there's a logging top page, logging page, and there is some information, and this is the functionality we try to convert as a REST services or the REST web services. And that then web developer has the possibility to don't use the Grails. They can use any GUI or UI frameworks, what they would like to do, or what they like to choose, depending on the resources of the developments. Maybe there is a lot of the JavaScript developer, or maybe there is PHP developer, or maybe there's a lot of Java developer, and that's why they need such API. Then all the developer can communicate, can build a web application based on our release APIs. That's the major goal for this multi-part screencast. So you see that the previous example, what they have it. So they have is the logging mechanism like the admin logger, and the private logger, public logger, and the user logger. So here is one of the screencast. So system is logged in the systems, and then they logged in, and there is the functionalities, the message sending, message generating, message receiving, and then here is the new user creation, and the address location, and the role of the address, and the physical address of the registered persons. So this just look for the previous my previous web application, then you can get more detail about that, how the functionalities look like, how its web application look like. So then you can get the feelings what are doing those will be the API functionalities for those applications. So here you see the existing web application development, Grails 3 and GSP constraint. Constraint means is because the application is developed by the specific frameworks, specific domain concepts. So you see that the application is specific ORM and GOM models. So that means you cannot transform this GOM and ORM model to other application. That means you cannot partition it, or you cannot layer it. So there is no flexibility. It's look like there's all the business logic, all model inside your applications. So there is no possibility to come up other technology. That's I said here. They cannot reuse the models, your existing models that you have it, for other view technologies like UI, GUI, or UI template engine. So API has the possibility to, if you release the APIs, and there's a possibility to come up, you can use any view technologies to build your web pages. That's the idea, to build those APIs to fit what's the existing web application is doing, and we did the release the web APIs, and then the web developer can communicate those API or consume those API via any technology. Apache, there is a lot of view technologies, the view in template engines, Apache Velocity, free markup, time-lived template engine. I had already the 2-3 video screencast about the time-lived template engine. How can you communicate the REST services and build your CRUD operation based on your released APIs. So the Java server pages is the oldest technology, and then it's perfectly working, is a smart technology. So that means when you have APIs, there is no constraint to call those APIs to build the web pages. That's the idea. Even though you can go with some JavaScript frameworks with HTML5 and CSS, then call the web services and build the operations and build their beautiful web services, web applications, web pages. That's the idea. Maybe your small company or your company has no Java developer, no Groovy developer, no Grails developer. Then there is a only possibility to give the web APIs, and then maybe there is a web developer they are expert in JavaScript. Then they call it the JavaScript and call the APIs and build their web pages. And here is the requirements, the data set requirements. You see the registry. Here is the message sending information, sender information and receiver information, the information, and this is the content of this information. You can see that when I did the development, you can see the detailed information, what the content of those domain models. So here is the relationship, the object relational mappings are gone. And so we have the user registration has multiple user role, and admin address info and address has a multiple address location info, and that's and so on. And sender information, that means one register user can send the multiple multiple messages, and the one register user can receive the multiple messages. That's the very simple 6 entities model. Then this application is flexible. That's I said the message sender encrypted the message with the secret key, and message receiver has to be get those messages via the message information and the raw message information and the secret key. That's I will show you detail when I did the development for the next screencast. So here on the presentation part, one of the example, the end product will be here. So we have the local host, and then this is the port number, specify you did it, and then this is our the content path. And you see the one example how the URL mapping done by the REST resources. So if you have the one domain, user registration domain, and it has a domain registration, this is the domain class of that one. If you write this the application.groovy class, I will show you how is it. And it's the example is look like, and the end effect, the resulting URL will generate automatically based on that or defined. So that means you can get all the user register users, and you can create it, you can save it, you can update it, and we can delete it. That's the scheme. Even though when you don't like to include some actions or some HTTP methods, then even though you can exclude, you see the exclude, delete, and update. That's all. Or you can include, that means other things excluded. If you wrote this way, this way, that means you include you define all the URL combinations. If you in the definition, if you change it like this way, then that means you try to exclude that means the end user cannot delete any record from those entities, and cannot update those entities. That's you can build the additional constraint for this one. Here is the single resource URL mappings, and you see the single resource means that's another way. So that means when you wrote this way, then it's automatically generate the URLs. So I will show you detail how is it done when I did the API testing with the Google Postman, and I can see the actions or what is happening here, even though what done in the development stage. So in the next, if you have the nested resource, that means in our entity model, you already see one register user has multiple role, multiple message sender, multiple receiver, and address information, address location information. So that's why it's important to nest it. So if you wrote like this, okay, address user registrar and this one, and sender information multiple, and that means is the resulting URL will generate, the resources will generate this way. So registration user has you can search by IDs, and then how many when the register user, how many messages has sent it and how many messages is received, depending how the network done. This is a small example how the example how the when you did those annotation, those script in the application.groovy files, and then it's automatically generated these the Grails sections or HTTP method sections. And here I see that what you need very fast. It's this you already know. We need to install our database, and then database means our PostgreSQL database. As you, if you are working in a small company or a small team, then you are responsible as a dev of cultures. So you have to install your database, you have to build your database, and you have to generate all the the respective database users, and then you will create all respective sequences. That means respect 6 sequences for the 6 domain classes. That's the idea. I will put this all the script into the GitHub. Then you can already run it, and you build your database and then build a script also. So that means we have a 6 domain, then we have a 6 sequence generator, and I will show you detail in the development how you can call all the respective sequence to build your primary key and you build your mapping relationship among the tables or among the entities. Here is the you see here our major output will be the definition of the tables. You see the user registration tables, user role, address info, address location info, and sender info and receiver info. This is the end result when our application is run to the database and generate tables, and then you can see after that the effect of your applications in your operations. And here is the project structure, and I will build the projects from Grails application fog, and then you see the project structure like here. So Grails applications, config, controller, domain, and services, and so on, so forth. This is the screen. Now, when I generate the project and import the project into the IDE. So for this case, I just use IntelliJ IDE. In community editions, you can do in the Eclipse or any IDE or a Spring tool suite. That is a possibility. So here you see how we generate the executable or runnable jar files. So Grails package and Gradle assemble, and that's then so on and so forth. And this is our end product. So this is important. So you just packed your application as jar files, and you build your script, and then you can run this script anywhere in the client machine in any part of the world. So you just need your executable jar files and need to these 2 files, and then you run the application to anywhere in the any part in the world to any machines. I will show you how can build your G script and run those files, and I will show you detail when I did the developments and configuration and deployments in the client side. So here is our examples how the Spring Boot and external configuration deployment. You see that all the settings necessary what you need, and the database settings and the what environment, and this is your files, the jar files and API files and the start server. That's what you need to run in command mode, start server, and then automatically deploy your application into the client machines. Hundreds of machines you can deploy. Of course, you need to first build your database. You need to database, and then you generate your sequences, and then you run the application and automatically set all the necessary mappings, and application is running properly in the client side. This is the really professional example that I did. Is it beginner? If you're a beginner, it's hard to understand, but it's a professional one. You have to be careful to take it very closely. So thank you for these presentations, and I will put it all the developments, configuration, deployment. Deployment means in the client side deployment and installation process with the next screencast. Just follow all the screencast, and you will get the overall ideas how is the development done by as a professional way. And I will put all the source code into my GitHub, and I will give it to the source code GitHub links into the next screencast, all the screencast in the URL for this one. So thank you. If you have any questions, please leave it to comment in my channels, and that will help my further improvement and help to share with your knowledge and my with knowledge. Don't forget to subscribe my channels, and that's a good things. we can share each other. That's thank you. So thank you a lot of thank you for all of them, and see you later. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thanks.